What's up, everybody? We're here, episode 14 on Inside the Circle. It's a solo today. I just want to kind of go and answer some questions from some of our podcasts. So I just want to kind of be able to have some dialogue with our fans out there, everybody who's following. The whole part of Inside the Circle is just kind of give everybody feedback or knowledge or information on what has allowed myself to be successful, the kids in our program to be successful, and we could kind of share with you who might not have the privilege or opportunity to come to Winter Circle Athletics and get the gems and jewels that we give our parents that come here to Winter Circle Athletics, right? Our reach right now is around the country. It's awesome to see the feedback and everybody supporting, positive or negative, right? I'm a disruptor. I challenge the system. I push the envelope. I kind of, just want to have those conversations that are hard to have, and maybe people aren't educated on the information or the conversation, and I want to address those today. So had about 400 comments on our page about the holdback topic. We've had over 1 million views between Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, of everybody who tuned into my my videos that I did with the holdback conversation. So now I just want to elaborate on the questions that I've got sent to me, and I want to address those. So lock in, be open-minded, and get ready to learn. So the biggest misconception about getting held back is the kid isn't smart enough. He's stupid. Oh, you're only focusing on sports, or you're a bad student. You're not smart. And that is a very ignorant way to think. And the reason why I say that is for the minorities out there, when you used to think about kids getting held back, it was the black kids, the Mexicans, the Polynesians, whatever it may be. They felt like getting held back was because you're stupid, you're not smart, you're lazy, you're not handling your schoolwork, you're not educated. But getting held back is really to get held back to move forward. And I'm going to explain what holding back to move forward means. And I'm going to break it down here, right? Usually what our parents do who come from minority backgrounds or who might not have the money or knowledge, information, education is they have a kid early. My mom had me at 18 years old. You can't afford a daycare. You can't afford a nanny. You can't afford these different things. So what do? The school system in California says that you could put your kid in school at 4 turning 5. So what do parents do? The first opportunity they have to put their kid into school for kindergarten is 4 turning 5 years old. What happens is when you put your kid into school at 4 years old, he is now on track to be a 16 turning 17-year-old senior. When you go to college, for the people out there, because a lot of people are responding to these things, never been in college, they've never seen what it looks like, they have no clue, they're just spewing stuff out of their mouth, right? So when you go to college, if you're 17 years old, you can't sign any paperwork. If you're on an athletic scholarship, if you're on an academic scholarship, if you're there, mom and dad still have to sign everything for you, all your paperwork, because you're not an adult yet. You're still 17 years old. So if you're not an adult yet, right, then you probably shouldn't be in college. Probably shouldn't be living on your own. You probably shouldn't be making these decisions by your own because you're only a 17-year-old kid. But what happens is because people put their kids into school so early at 4 years old, turning 5, they end up becoming a 17-year-old person. How many kids in this day and age at 17 years old are ready to take on the world? Be honest, right? Your 17-year-old kid right now is still struggling to make his bed. He still doesn't wash his clothes, right? He can't even go and have a conversation with you right now. There's so many things your 17-year-old kid doesn't know how to do. So why is this 17-year-old kid is expected to go into the real world and not only manage an academic schedule, if he is a scholarship kid at 17 years old, and also athletic schedule? What that means is, for the people who've never gone to college and played athletics, your kid's getting up at 5 a.m. to be at 6 a.m. workouts. 6 a.m. workouts in about 7:45. You got to hurry up, shower, and run to your 8 o'clock class if you have 8 o'clock class. You go to class from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. From 8 to 2, you're in class. Then from 2 to 2:30, you have a quick break to have lunch. And then from 2:30 to 4, you have film study, team meetings, position work meetings, things like that. Then you go from a 4 p.m. to a 6:30 p.m. practice. And then once you get out of practice, you have about 30 minutes. You could go back in the locker room, you could shower. And then from 6:30 to 7, you eat dinner. And then 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, for all incoming freshmen that are athletes, you have mandatory 10 hours of tutoring. So that means you have to go to tutoring for 2 hours a day. So now you're getting out of practice and dinner at 7 or 6:30, 7 o'clock dinner, 7 to 9 o'clock, you have to go and be in tutoring. If you're a minute late, you get a check. If for at least at SC, if you get 10 checks, meaning you're late to class, you're late to workouts, you're late to tutoring, they take your tickets away from you. They take your tickets away. So now your family cannot come watch you play, or they cannot go to the game with the parents or the other parents, a part of the team, because you're not mature enough to be able to show up on time for class, show up on time for workouts, or show up on time for tutoring. Then at 9 p.m. at night, you finish your tutoring, you go home, and then what do you have to do? You don't go to sleep, right? The mature kid would go home, study his playbook, do his homework, and maybe he's rolling into bed at 11 o'clock at night. And then what does he have to do? He has to wake up at 5 a.m. the next day and do it all over again, right? So that's a very demanding workload for a 17-year-old kid turning 18 years old his freshman year in college to be able to handle all that stuff. So instead of living that stressful lifestyle and having a 17-year-old kid have to work and demand and to manage all that stuff, time management skills is something that's taught, right? You have to learn that, and you have to learn how to plan out a day like that when you're in college. So what we do for the kids that go through the process who might have started school early, the national age cutoff around the country for sports is July 31st. Let's just talk about football right now. So July 31st is the cutoff. If they are offering 13U or 14U youth football, why would you be a 12-year-old eighth grader playing 12U football in eighth grade, turning 13 after the age cutoff, right? And now you just go and do your eighth grade year of football. You go enroll into freshman at 13 years old, and now you're a freshman, you're a high school student. You just left 13 and 14U football on the table. Those are your biggest years of growth, development, hormones, puberty, right? Growth, all those different things. So if you start school 4 turning 5, you're on track to be an 11-year-old 7th grader, a 12-year-old 8th grader, and now you're going to be a 13-year-old freshman in high school on track to graduate at 17 years old, right? And the most important thing for these kids is they're getting recruited off of their junior year. So if you're on that track where you start school early, now you're a 13-year-old incoming freshman, you're 15 years old your junior year, turning 16, going into your senior year. Now you're getting evaluated your junior year in the spring as a 15, 16-year-old boy who still hasn't really hit their puberty or their stride or their growth or their maturity yet. So I always say holding back to move forward. There's nothing wrong with holding back, right? Outside of pride or whatever else that people want to go and throw things out there. He's not ready to compete. He was stupid. That's why he held back. He wasn't good enough. He was scared to play up, all these different things. But holding back to move forward for us, the people who do it, right? There's a game plan. It's not about just being older. It's about being bigger, stronger, faster, more mature to take on life. I always tell parents, do you not like your kid? Because if you don't like your kid, then you could just hurry up and throw them into the world at 17 years old and good luck, and hopefully they figure it out, right? But the parents who have a game plan and they want to readjust their process, time is on your side before high school. And what I mean by that is your clock starts 9th grade. As soon as you step on a high school campus, you can't get held back again. You can't decide your junior year, I haven't hit puberty yet, I want to get held back, right? All that has to be done before you step on a high school campus. So for the people out there saying holding back is for kids that are stupid or this or that, right? I'm going to break it down for you. The kids that decide to hold back, let's say 1 year, or even go more than that, 2 years, they want to hold back. Now, as your kid goes through the program, say you have a kid that's a 12-year-old 8th grader, right? Technically, he should be in 6th grade, 12 years old, turning 13. 7th grade, 13, turning 14. 8th grade, 14, turning 15 after the cutoff date, right? So for your kid who decides to get held back, if he's a young kid and he's 12 years old in 8th grade, then you could go and back him up and go, I'm going to do 7th grade twice, 8th grade twice. But the parents out there have to understand, when you redo 7th grade or you get held back and redo 8th grade, you're not taking the same classes over again. So if say you're a first year holdback kid in 8th grade, you're young, you want to get held back, and you're a 4.0 student, because a lot of kids that come to our academy, they're 3.5, they're 4.0 students. They come from great families. They come from educated backgrounds. They're the people who are planning ahead, right? They're not just pushing their kid along. The kid that gets held back in 8th grade, he's not going to take all the same classes again, right? We go based off the California standards. We're California State School. The kids are going to do the iReady test, right? And they're going to test into our program. Are they regular eighth grade, honors eighth grade? So the kids who go through our eighth grade holdback program, they're not going to take the same classes they took their original eighth grade year. Those kids will start getting introduced to freshman classes. So let's say they were in math 8 their first year of eighth grade. Well, now they're going to take algebra their holdback year. They're going to get introduced to health. They're going to introduce to Spanish 1. Right? They're going to take classes that's going to allow them to go in and further and advance their education. So when they get to high school, they could test out of certain classes that will now put them ahead of the curve and allow them to speed up their development mentally. So a lot of our kids who do their holdback year, they're sharpening their tools up. Getting held back isn't just about sports and being bigger, stronger, faster. You can always be smarter. There's kids out there who graduate high school at 16 years old because they got skipped grades, right? And there's kids who decide to get held back. And then when they get held back, now, as they go into high school, they could test out of certain classes. So we've had a lot of kids in our program who got held back 2 years. And by the time they go to high school, their junior and senior year, listen to me right now. Their junior and senior year, even though they got held back 2 years in middle school, they went from being a 12-year-old eighth grader to now being a 14-year-old eighth grader. When they go into high school, now they're testing out of certain classes. And also as they go through their career now in high school, their junior and senior year, they take concurrent enrollment or dual enrollment, depending what you call it at your school district. So a lot of our kids that we have come through our program, if they decide to do a double holdback year, by the time they get to their junior and senior year, they're taking concurrent or dual enrollment. Listen to me here. I'm going to blow your mind. When they go and earn a Division I scholarship, a D2, a D3, whatever it may be, when they step on campus, their dual enrollment classes, they've already taken their AA general ed. Everybody out there, you know, if you've gone to college, no matter what, you have to take your AA classes. You have to. So if you're a scholarship athlete and you're getting a scholarship, you're there on college campus for 4 years. The first 2 years is a waste of time. You're taking your general ed classes. It's really just like taking your high school over again, your junior or senior year. Then you take your bachelor's your next 2 years, and you end up graduating college with a bachelor's degree. The kids that we have in our program end up doing dual enrollment their junior and senior year, which sets them up when they go and step on a college campus on a scholarship. Instead of them having to waste their time doing their AA classes, right? They go on campus and now they have to take their bachelor's in 2 years and their master's in the next 2 years. So the scholarship that would have covered a bachelor's degree, these kids are now getting their bachelor's in their first 2 years on a college campus. They're getting their master's degree in the next 2 years. So now they left, instead of having a $400,000 scholarship, they're getting a $750,000 scholarship because now they're leaving college. If they go pro or not, we're not talking about pro. We're just talking about education right now. How could you set your kids up with the best opportunity to academically get as much information, enough knowledge by being on a college campus and get the best education and the best degrees and piece of papers for free? Now that's really talking about maximizing your platform, your education, and using the scholarship that they're giving you to set you up for the rest of your life. Who cares about sports? Who cares about going pro? So many people want to worry about going pro, and if they were good enough, they would make it. The funny thing is we did a video with Damani Jackson, top player in the country, and we talked about him getting held back. You have 10,000 comments on that page, 1 million views, blah, 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 blah. He's not good enough for this or that. And then we did it with 2 girls, the Brewer sisters, Alabama. No one said anything about the girls getting held back. There was no negative comments about them because they're females. And the only negative comments are if they were good enough, they would be able to go play pro. So you had the girls who did it. No one commented anything negative about them because we're not talking about pro. We're not talking about getting paid or being good enough. And then you have a boy who does it. Everyone wants to say, well, if he was good enough, he would have got held back. He would have just done it the traditional way, right? So people are looking at things the different way, but it really comes down to, are you leaving with your degree? Can you leave with a master's degree? And if you redshirt, can you leave with a bachelor's, master's, and a minor degree on a scholarship dime by the time you go and graduate from college? The traditional kid who did it the traditional way, right? He could go to college and get his bachelor's degree. And our kid who got held back 2 years could actually graduate the same time as that kid with a master's degree. And that kid only had a bachelor's degree. So really, when you think about this thing, it's holding back to move forward. Not only do we move back, not only do we move forward athletically because we're getting bigger, stronger, faster, we earn the scholarship that we want. And then when we go onto a college campus, now I'm not having to take 2 years of wasted AA classes in general ed. I could go into college and get my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, minimum on the scholarship dime that they're paying me to go to that college. Now that's really talking about setting these kids up for success.